Yeah, slowly winding down, calming down, I think is the right decompressing maybe
Yeah.
from the days of driving. I don't know. I can't even count the number of exact days of driving, but it was more than 12, that's for sure. Plus
Well,
I
if you
managed to squeeze in a week of vacation with the family there on Vancouver Island, which is nice.
well, that worked out
Yeah.
well. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no, it worked out well. So but yeah, the Vancouver Island rimfire scene is just crazy bananas, man. There's stuff to do there all year round, which is really tempting. So it's looking like the potential retirement spot for Red Caddick and family. We'll see.
Nice.
My wife has to stop loving our kids though because she doesn't want to leave them.
Well,
I
I
said,
don't know.
well,
That's a tough one.
maybe we got to wait until they leave. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But so far, it's there's a potential maybe pin on somewhere in Vancouver Island because my brother lives out there, so
Nice.
it'd be cool. We could live with him for a while. I could trade work for housing, But we'll see. We'll see. But definitely was a very nice way to spend some time.
Squat.
Yeah, no, they're
Be a squatter.
be a squatter
Yeah.
on be like a living on a farm in Vancouver Island or Salt Spring Island. But yeah, no, it was a good summer. Just action packed. So much stuff going on across Canada. It's nice. It's almost time that I can stop doing this and just shoot matches now. We just need to fill in the prairies a little bit. So, but yeah, so far so good. It's going well. It's going well. So I got 50 seconds more, then we'll kick off season 4. I thought about doing calendar, but it's this season 4 is like, okay, we're planning. When I start talking to sponsors about next year, and I start talking to landowners about next year, it's definitely season 4. So I
Yeah.
think it's good we wrap up kind of where we are. We have Victoria's running a match this weekend or next weekend, which is actually 2025. So the national matches is the cutoff. So, but yeah, we're looking forward to even bigger and better. So let me stop sharing the screen and let's kick off the video and then let's get season 4 kicked off. Stand by. Hey, shooters. Welcome to the Rimfire Nation podcast with none other than Rickster and our buddy Asmir from Tesro.ca, proud sponsors of the Rimfire Nation podcast. And I have the pleasure of welcoming you, Asmir, to season 4, episode 1, the wrap up of CRPS 2024 season and the let's talk about what's happening in 2025. So man, what a year! It's not over for some. As I was mentioning in the pre-show, Victoria's got their match in a couple of weeks, and that'll be the last formal match, the last currently scheduled match. But I'm working on a couple of surprise additional events, potentially in the next few months, few weeks. So stay tuned for that. We haven't finalized where and when yet, but definitely within the next 8 weeks. So it should be good. We'll just keep going until the snow starts falling and the weather gets too cold. Well, too wet. I don't mind cold. It's the wet I mind. So, hey, welcome, Asmir. First off, thank you very much for all of your support for the ORPS, the Outlaw Rimfire Precision Series, and certainly for the Rimfire Nation podcast. We didn't have as much as we wanted to last year, just based on schedules and activities, but we're going to keep doing this weekly as much as we can. Now is a good time. We don't have a lot of crazy stuff going on, so welcome back. How are things?
Thanks for having me. Good. Good. How was your summer?
Summer was just doing this, just driving. It was like, I don't know, 12, 14,000 kilometers. It was good. Got to see a lot of old friends, made a lot of new ones. Man, there are a ton of new shooters out there in Canada. I mean, I went to Courtney. Courtney had their 3-day rimfire summer sizzler. It's like a rimfire fest, and probably I only knew maybe 10, 20% of the shooters there, and they had dozens and dozens of folks participating. So that was cool to see, and got to work with more new shooters as part of Project Maple Seed in Victoria and Nanaimo. So yeah, no, it was good. It was a great summer. You can tell I'm kind of upbeat. It was just a good rejuvenating experience. So glad to be back home though, and now just kind of putting the finishing touches on the 2024 season and getting ramped up for 2025. So already started working with potential landowners and hosts and sponsors for next year to try and get that out of the way. So spring and early summer can just be all about running matches instead of trying to organize the year and all that stuff. So yeah, what have you been up to? You went to a competition. You were telling me, yes?
I did. Well, a couple. I actually went to a couple this year.
Yeah.
I stepped out of the rectangle. So I went to a couple of competitions, but yeah, the most recent I went to the small bore nationals a couple of weeks ago. So
that was in Innisfil,
yeah,
Ontario. Innisfil,
Ontario, just the south of Barrie, like
yeah.
12, 15 minutes from Barrie. I remember it's 12 minutes because that's what my Google navigation would say from the hotel.
Nice.
Yeah. So so close to like Alliston. People usually know Alliston.
Yeah. And many people didn't know that you're actually a shooter, a competitor.
It's funny. I heard that from multiple people. It's like, so you actually shoot? I'm like, yes. Like you, and like, and somebody was, and you like, you dress up? I'm like, what do you mean dress up? Like, you know, I wear like that funny coat. And it's like, yeah. So yeah, we had this small board out. It's basically the Olympic style shooting nationals. So I shoot prone, but there's 3P as well, and air, and the rifle and pistol nationals were there together, and it was kind of for those of you that watched the shooting, target shooting at the Olympics, basically all the pistol and rifle disciplines were there, plus some of the Canadian disciplines that are only shot in like kind of in Canada. So
and what rifle were you shooting there, Asmir?
I was shooting my Tesro rifle.
Your Tesro rifle. So many people don't know that Tesro actually makes rifles. Not you personally, but the Tesro family.
Yeah,
is a rifle maker. That's a small bore single shot repeater.
Correct. Yeah, it's a single shot small bore. So 22 LR.
Do you have that model on your website?
Yes, it is.
Something you can see.
If you go, if you go here, let me pull up the website.
Oh, there's some sexy ones there.
So it would be under the rifles, small bore rifles.
Is it the SBR 100?
Yeah, that's I shoot the precursor of that. Let's just say the one that I have is a bit of a let's call it working prototype. It was probably one of the first ones to leave the factory because I was pestering my father-in-law for too much. So
that is a sexy rifle. That is a sexy, and it was interesting because I saw there was a young woman in Saskatoon who came to a Maple Seed and brought an on-shoots, which looks very similar to this in terms of all of the adjustability, and then in between positional shooting, for the instruction part, she'd be taking things apart, putting things on, just to configure it from prone to standing shooting, and I guess all of that stuff is all part of just fine tuning it so that you get the maximum structural support as possible, I guess.
Yeah,
that's pretty slick. You should bring that out to an event one day. Just for, I guess this is iron sights, right?
It's iron. I mean, you can put scope. I do have a second one.
Nice.
But which I've set up to with a scope. I do have a 22 rifle with a scope. But I set it up basically for the. I guess, are we going to be talking about paper target shooting?
Oh, we will. There's definitely a segment carved out with.
It was kind
I've had numerous
Yeah.
conversations with people
So it
as
was
I
set
was
up
out
for
there.
that. Essentially, it has a kind of like a bench resty setup.
Nice. Okay.
And that's my kid's gun right now. Because when I go
Nice.
shooting, I set it up for him. He sits at the bench and with a booster seat, so he can reach behind the rifle with the scope, and he shoots on the bench, and I'm next to him shooting. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, so it is set up with a scope, and it would be a little bit awkward to shoot PRS with. It's
Yeah.
quite a
And that's
uh,
it's a built for purpose gun, and that
yeah.
purpose is bench rest. And I'm telling you, man, bench rest is hot. There's actually an event coming up in Eastern Ontario. It's NRA small bore bench rest. I'm contemplating going, but I can't. I can't take off. I can't take off for. I can't disappear to go shooting for a couple of weeks. I've been
Whereabouts
given
is it?
the
Send me a link after when if
yeah
you remember.
Eastern Ontario. It's just it's like an hour and
Oh,
change away.
oh, East. Okay,
Yeah,
Eastern. Yeah,
Eastern
well,
Ontario.
we sponsored that match, so yes, I know.
Yeah,
I'll be
you
there.
know well. Yeah, you'll be
Okay,
there. There you go. Yeah, perfect.
I heard Eastern
Yeah,
Ontario. Yeah, yeah,
and
no, yeah,
I shot a bench rest match in not a match. It was an informal bench rest morning in
yeah.
Kamloops. You know, you shoot 4 or 5 targets. It's very civilized. It's very it felt really relaxing.
I think the talking. Well, I guess you can say that about PRS match because you actually the shooting you do end up shooting 100 or 120 shots depending on
Yeah,
how many
yeah, yeah,
stages they are, but it's
yeah,
spread out.
yeah,
But the bench rest the pace is definitely much slower. So
yes. It's
you have a
yeah,
lot. There's a lot of socializing in between.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. So for me, like the best part of the PRS matches is that inter competitor socializing. But if you're doing bench rest and you're shooting for 20-minute strings, you lose that interact. It's like it's really just you and the rifle and the ammo and the wind and the target at 50. It's pretty nice. But again, it's very relaxing, compared to the chit chat and the trash talking that goes on at PRS matches. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that roll out, and I think it's going to be very popular. Just because they're not everyone, and you and I, we're getting to that point in our lives and our physical mobility that certain positions take more effort than sometimes we'd like to put in. So yeah, so I think bench rest is a great option for those to either be their primary sport or secondary, to have fun. So
Oh, and what's nice about it is that you're never going to get your ass kicked really hard
yeah,
because if you have a decent rifle, they're going to be kind of landing in the middle,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you're going to be
yeah,
shooting center most of the time as long as
yeah.
everything's set up kind of properly. You're not going to
But
be getting all of them. That's what you kind of need to work on. You need to
yeah,
read the wind. You have to get a good ammo, a good rifle, good setup of your position. But
yeah,
you're going to be getting some on the target. So it's kind of very encouraging and very welcoming to the starter shooters and juniors and women
yeah,
and
yeah,
elderly that have mobility issues,
yeah.
right?
And it's
There's
it's
guys that
it's
basically
very safe. Yeah,
pull up with wheelchair and just have a stand and they're good to
yeah,
go kind of thing. So yeah,
exactly. No, that's pretty good. But we'll get to that
yeah,
later
we'll get
later
to
in
that.
the
Yeah,
evening. So from a 2024, I was hoping to have the stats available, but I'm still crunching them. Because for ORPS, which you're the title sponsor for, I've got to basically take all of the data from each of the matches for every club every month, combine them to come up with the monthly winners for each of the divisions and each of the classes. Because right now we can say at a match who won, but now we've got to kind of go through all of them, combine them, and then also do the tiebreakers because there are good shooters across multiple clubs. So I've got to take the tiebreakers and based on the tiebreakers, come up with who the actual winner is, and then award division points and monthly points. So it should be about another 24 hours. I'm getting close. I've got most of the data downloaded and cleansed. There's some stuff because not everyone. So if you shoot multiple matches in a month, your first one is the one that counts. So I've got to strip those out and things like that. It's interesting. There's definitely some patterns. There's a lot of names that I don't recognize, which is awesome. Like I was saying, the new shooter growth is phenomenal. And again, CRPS this year was, again, we were able to go coast to coast again. We had events from Nova Scotia all the way to Vancouver Island, both Victoria and Nanaimo, which is great. And Courtney only did ORPS. I didn't do CRPS, but hopefully we'll get a couple. We'll get a couple there next year. So between those clubs, and then obviously from we didn't have any in the Lower Mainland. I think the closest west without going to Vancouver Island was Merritt, BC. So that we had the Hunter match there, CRPS match there, and then we announced this yesterday on the Facebook group that we are bringing the King of 2 miles out west and out east. Hopefully we can get a few more of those events. Again, that's sponsored by Loophole, so that'd be great. So people can bring out their rifles and stretch the legs. And again, King of 2 is a lot of fun. It's not a lot of fun if it's windy because you'll get your ass handed to you, but that's part of the challenge, part of the fun. And just like at the Nationals at Tabor, I got a hats off to Jonathan Dorohoy and Alicia Dorohoy and a team of volunteers for putting an awesome match together. Again, tiny targets, far away, solid props, just a fun day out, and the wind just kicked our butts. It was just kind of send it and pray. If you didn't know how to recover and figure out where the wind was, you're going to be suffering, and a lot of people suffered. It was a lower scoring match than typical, but again, it was still a fun match nonetheless. And man, we had a great barbecue dinner Saturday night, put on by the Dorohoy family. It was amazing. Really good roast beef, great sausages, great corn, macaroni salad, mac and cheese, sorry, and potato salad, I think, and coleslaw. And Tabor corn. It was Corn Fest, so it's a fun place to be at that time of year. So that was good. It was good. Looking forward to coming back out there. Hopefully, we can get a couple of more matches out in southern Alberta, just so we can include them into the mix. So that's the goal. Kind of come back to the place we missed this year, and then do more of what people like, which is hunter matches and King of 2-2s. Now you've never shot the King of 2-2 yet, have you?
No, I was busy. I was busy enjoying Mediterranean sun when that was.
It's a tough life. It's a tough life.
Yeah. So we were back in Europe this year for vacation. Nice. So yeah. But I did hear that. Can I put a shameless plug? I did hear that one of our builds did quite well. So yeah, was happy to hear that back. That's good.
Yeah. And then you did quite well at the National Small Bore as well, didn't you?
I did actually. I was top master, second overall in prone. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
I was very very happy about that. I'm still very happy about that. Considering when we came back from vacation, I came down with some virus and I was out for a couple of weeks, so I didn't have my buffer that I built in to train and get back into it was significantly shortened. So I literally got wind taken out of me. I couldn't even get behind the rifle for more than like 10-15 shots.
Right.
So I was like when I was back, I was like dry firing like 15-20 shots at a time just to kind of get back into that's all I could do for like a couple of weeks. But yeah, so he came well together. It was a good match.
Nice.
Yeah, everything kind of worked out. So I was very, very pleased with it.
Nice. Well, congratulations! Yeah. Not just a pretty face, and not just a business owner. You actually you can actually walk the walk and not just talk the talk, which is awesome.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, JP and I would talk about it. We would rather be at the range than pretty much anything else. So that's. Yeah, when we can, we try to make it out the range as much as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
well, we're definitely going to try and get you out to the King of 2-2 when it comes to Ontario, somewhere in Ontario. We might have two, depending on if we can find an eastern location and a western location. I have all the steel with me. The only reason I really wasn't having those events because we kept all of our steel in Saskatoon. Just wondering if the format was working. I think we've proven that there's a definite interest, and it's different, right? Because it's all prone. You're shooting off platforms, right? We'll
Yeah,
make the platforms, and it's just you, and you've got 10 minutes basically for each of the stages. There's 4 stages, and then you've got 10 rounds to make 3 hits on each target, and that's 10 rounds per target. So if you make 3 hits, then you get another 10 to make 3 hits on the next one. So it's potentially unlimited. So, and there's 7 targets per stage, so 7 or 8. I can't remember. So it's a fun time. So maximum
yeah.
round count is going to be whatever, 80
Have,
times 4.
have you got this location secured for?
Not yet. We've got some potentials. Some
Yeah,
some folks have expressed interest, and they've got the land potentially to host. So, yeah, like definitely out west, we've got Alberta and BC nailed down. Saskatoon. So it's really just where in Ontario we can hold, and maybe even the Maritimes if there's interest out there on hosting a long range. We just need 700 meters
yeah,
for target placement, and then a safe backstop behind that. So, and then we've just got four lanes of targets that we've got to set up. And then we've got Pepsi can 1/3 ipsix, which is 6 by 15, and then we've got 12-inch squares, and then we've got the big full size targets, which are 2 by 2, 30 by 30, 36 by 36, and then 48 by 48, all the way out 50-meter increments out to from 350 to 700
and
meters.
I
So
guess a couple of platforms to shoot
yeah,
off of.
yeah, and we
Um,
we uh, we we bring everything. We just need the land, so we have
oh, you bring the
just
platform.
we
Okay.
bring the platforms. They're 2 by 4 with 3/4 inch plywood platforms that are leveled and built on site. So yeah,
Okay. Well, we'll
yeah.
talk offline. Maybe I do know a
Oh,
number of folks that
this is interesting. There we go.
um, have land.
Oh,
So
perfect.
I'll let me know what kind of, and I'll drop it, and drop it to them, and they're shooters. So if they're interested,
Oh,
then
perfect.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's, and
yeah,
it's very it's like bench rest, right? Except
yeah.
you're shooting at steel, so there's not a lot of movement. It's very sedentary. It's only the wind that affects you. So yeah, that'd be great. So that's the big news for next year. Otherwise, I think most of the events, except for the new one that we're going to talk about, maybe we'll talk about that now. Rimfire Paper Precision, aka 22 bench rest, and again across Canada, there's several organizations kind of hosting. And yeah, so what's the driving factor behind supporting something like that, Asmir? Because Asmir, you've stepped up and said, Tesro is 100% behind that discipline. Now, what kind of motivated you to step in and say, yeah, I want to get behind it.
So I'm a small bore shooter, and used to be air gun shooter, but I'm a prone shooter because I don't shoot 3P anymore, and my body wouldn't take the 3P, the amount of training that we need for 3P. So I'm a prone shooter, and prone was unfortunately taken out of the Olympic course of fire after Brazil Olympics, and just because the IOC decided that it's not an Olympic event doesn't make it less interesting um, for me. And I personally believe the prone is the kind of basis of the marksmanship.
Right.
That when the young recruits come in and start learning, well, let's start with maple seed. We don't even have to go to military style shooting, but if you want to talk about military, you don't go run around with a rifle. You don't go sitting. You don't go standing. You go prone, off to some sort of a support, whether it's a sling or
Right.
bipod or whatever it is. But it is prone. Um, for various reasons. There's other practical reasons. So, anyways, I'm a prone shooter myself, and I think I enjoy prone shooting, and I think that's something that I want to personally compete in,
There you
and
go.
participate. And but it's kind of because of the so. Um, because of the Olympics and because of being dropped at Olympics, there's a bit of vacuum kind of created. And benchers, we talked about on the podcast with respect to benchers. Kind of benchers went through its heyday in the 90s and early 2000s, and kind of shot itself in the foot, because it went a little bit too crazy with technical, and bench rest and prone, they're very similar, but they're not the same. Bench rest is
Right.
bench rest. I think bench rest is it kind of has its own following. A lot of ranges have a bench rest setup, but prone shooting is prone is just one position really. But I think it's very accessible to a lot of shooters. Um, it doesn't have a lot of physical demands to start, whether you're a youngster or whether you're getting into the ripe age, where things are a little bit more difficult to move around and stuff. And as you know, I do like to shoot very small groups.
Yeah. And I think it's a great way to learn, because if you
Yeah,
can't shoot small groups without any movement, the chances of you shooting a small group when you're having a transition change targets becomes less likely. So I think
yeah,
there's a role that it can fill as part of a developmental process for shooters to develop those key fundamentals of natural point of aim, and a smooth, slow, steady trigger press, and then stop when the trigger breaks, and then move to the next shot and kind of cleanse your being consistent, being you know um, calm and consistent,
yeah,
really, from a shooter perspective. So I'm looking forward to see how that translates to better shooters all around. And I think we talked about some of the rules. I mean, we haven't finalized all the rule sets, but I think we had talked about that. We're going to keep all of the same classifications. There's going to be the air gun, the open production, and I think semi-auto is in there. Again, for just at the high level, keeping the divisions the same, and then having irons and optics as the primary ones, and again having as a starting point, that's it. So it kind of departs from the other typical classifications where there are weight limits or weight minimums. Is it under or over 18? Can't remember. There's some
under 18, under
under
18.
18 in
Yeah,
under 18. So again, for us, it's really our goal is to have our participants join in using whatever rifles they're using, and not have to build another special rifle on top of what they've got. Although some people would love the idea of buying or building a new rifle, and we'll talk about those new rifles that you've got
yeah.
coming up
But
in
yeah,
the
but I mean,
coming year.
just to add to that, I think this was one of the big reasons why PRS was rimfire PRS in particular, has been quite successful, is that it's very accessible to everyone, and you can go and spend time building your rifle, or you can purchase high-end rifles, spend a lot of money,
Right.
but you can participate in a production with something that's much easier, accessible, and something that a lot of people had at home.
Right.
And the idea is, at least when we start the series, to people should be able to use their existing equipment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Whether it's high end, low end, or whatever, it's
yeah,
whatever you've got.
high and low end,
Yeah.
and and refinement will happen
Yep.
as it does happen with every sport. I mean, and there is already a refinement, and there is kind of like more ideal, obviously more ideal scopes and more ideal stocks or chassis that you'll be using and all of that. But
Yeah.
I think that the beauty of it's going to be that and I can actually see that the matches, there's guys that have pure bench rest rifles. They're lying down, they're shooting prone, but it is bench rest gun, all the
Yeah.
way to pure PRS rifles,
Yeah.
and they're all competitive, and I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
Um,
good. And again,
so
we talked about two distances being 50 meters, 50 yards, and 100 yards,
yeah,
just so most ranges can participate. So you're not limited by. If I don't have a 50-yard, you can have. We can standardize on 50 yards and 100. And then we talked about prone and bench rest, because not everyone can get into the prone position. bench rest being again available to most people. And if your range can't do the bench rest positions, then you can just have prone. And if your range can't do prone, then you'll just limit it to bench rest. So it's entirely um, up to the ranges to shoot what they can and allow their membership or their participants to participate in whatever form that they're able to adopt positions. And so we're still kind of ironing out the how we're going to keep track of all the scores monthly, but the goal is to have it kind of like an outlaw series where we're keeping track and people could submit scores and you can see on any given day who's shooting what and what the scores are. Again, for the next little while, it'll be let's try it out. We'll post the targets up. Again, we talked about 20-minute time frames for unlimited ciders or 20 ciders or whatever. And then I guess it's either 20 targets. I can't remember, 20 shots or 25 shots.
20 shots. So
20 shots.
Yeah, so I can elaborate on that a little bit and kind of why that course of fire is because you're basically shooting last one or two sides of the target of know your limit all the time. Yeah. So you basically pretty much every shot is know your limit last kind of smallest kind of size of steel. And the idea is that because there's wind and the targets are small, you can go back to the siders to see if you're still on. And that's where the time comes in. So 20 minutes, and also 20 minutes is kind of as a block time. So you can use it. There's guys that kind of shoot. They just blast it. And
that was me.
Yeah, and
I had no idea what I was doing from a wind reading perspective. So I guess within 6 or 7 minutes, I was done my full target. I had a great time. I loved it. And I got to watch what other people were doing. So
exactly. So, but if you're shooting, a conventional prone with a sling, you're moving, right? So, so then the pace is lower. For example, when I shoot prone, I shoot on a faster spectrum of things, but it still takes me about 20-25 seconds a shot if I'm shooting a good pace. So when you multiply that by 20 plus the ciders, it does add up. Plus if you're waiting for wind and stuff, when you're shooting off the bipod or some sort of rest, then obviously you can send the shots much faster. And if you have a repeater or semi-auto for that matter, but there, the time element is taken out of the equations, and more precision is added because the targets are more challenging. So 2 blocks of basically a block of 20 minutes, 20 shots with your ciders. And it's kind of go when the time is announced, you start, and then when you finished, you finish, type of thing. So
that's cool.
And then we can play, that the reason kind of behind that is that there's quite a few matches and match formats in US and in Canada that do kind of 20 minutes, 20 shots. So it's pretty kind of standard. And then you can play around with different distances, and a lot of small bore paper targets are printed for 20 shots. So it kind of aligns with the practicality of it. And these guys have figured out, this has been refined over many decades. As in being able to hang the target on a standard kind of a piece of cardboard and things like that. So
no, I can't wait. And then you were talking about potentially having a match in the next few weeks in the East somewhere. And I was thinking of doing something similar also in October to get the ball rolling. And certainly once we get those test matches under our belts, then we'd roll it out for other clubs that are interested in doing something similar, just as an exploratory, hey, is this going to work? And then we'll continue to iron it out and then roll it out next year once we've got all of the things that we've learned, lessons learned, and trying to smooth things out to keep it flowing well. So I can't wait. It's fun. I enjoy it. I'm looking for a slower pace of life there, Asmir. It sounds like precision paper is the way to go there.
Could be very stressful.
I don't think so. And then you're doing it wrong.
You and yourself in your own head.
That's true. There is that, but when you don't know much, everything's easy. It's like that
Yeah.
Kruger Dunning. It's like the less you know, the smarter you are, the happier you
Yeah.
are.
So I just wanted to mention. So for the test matches, at least this is kind of what we've been kind of bouncing around as an idea. We'll start working on the rules, and we'll try to publish the rules as soon as we can.
Yeah,
But first matches will run with basically show up with your stuff,
yeah.
and if you
Show up
can
and
get
shoot.
show up and
20
shoot, if you
minutes,
get in prone
20
position,
scoring
yeah,
rounds.
yeah,
Yeah,
if you can lie down and point at the target safely,
yeah,
and we'll shoot type of thing. So and then we'll
perfect.
refine, but we'll publish the rules to kind of folks know for next season when they want to run the matches and
Yeah.
participate what the rules will be.
Yeah.
And I
And
think that
again,
gives us a chance. Sorry, good.
yeah. Our goal is inclusivity. We're not here to
Yeah,
try and create a whole bunch of stuff to keep people out. We're just trying to run a safe match and make it fun and consistent across the country, so folks will just have a good time. It's we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to say, you know what, if you've got rifles already in all those different divisions, let's keep the same divisions and just start from there. And we'll make it work, because I think not every club is going to be able to do prone and bench. Not everyone's going to be able to shoot prone and bench. So we'll have to see how that goes. But at least if you want to shoot more prone and less bench, or more bench less prone, we'll work it out. The goal is, let's spend half a day shooting and just have a good time.
yeah, and yeah, and then like we discussed a little bit. We can play around with different formats and
Yeah,
stuff. And if we want, like, if like the idea is that we'd like to have it like the Outlaw series, so it is a kind of local postal match,
yeah, exactly.
right? And so we can get participation. So we need to standardize the course of fire. And going back to distance of 50 and 100 yards, I think it's most common distance at the ranges that they will have.
Yeah,
Most
yeah,
ranges will have 50 yards or 50
yeah,
meters.
yeah,
And then I think second most common is 100 yards,
yeah,
or 100 meters for that matter, depending how they built the range. And those two distances are kind of will cover most of the ranges.
yeah,
And if somebody wants to run, they can replicate it. Like the guys at one of the local club here, they ran 200 meter match, because they
right.
have 200
Nice.
meters at their
That's
range.
cool.
They just took the targets, they scaled them up a little bit,
Yeah,
and they ran exactly the same format
yeah. No, it'd
otherwise.
be cool. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. It would be interesting. I mean, as part of our Rimfire Competition Academy, we always shoot 200 meter or 200-ish, whatever the range has, and we people are within a 12-inch bullseye, so definitely within the scoring zone. And that's wide enough that you can accurately count them. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting. That would be fun. That would be fun. The other thing that I'm just to shift gears is I'm looking to come up with a team format for CRPS. A couple of guys talked to me over the summer, and I think we're going to, if you'll pardon the expression, pull the trigger on a team match where it's a 4-person team with at least one production person in the team. So one person has to shoot production, just to so we don't get a bunch of ringers in there. Even then, Dory's on my team for those that are looking for a team member, if she'll have me. Maybe I'm going to hold them back. See, that's the problem. I want to be on people's team, but people don't want me on their team. I've hit that. I've hit that.
when you're an anchor in the wrong way,
Yeah, yeah. You have to have, like, maybe you have to have some senior on your team. Maybe, I don't know. We'll figure. I'll figure out the way to cook the rules so I get invited somehow. Like I'm the what is it? The diversity hire.
yeah.
Yeah, but that'll be good. So that's also coming up. If I can get, again, I don't know if we can roll it out across country. I don't know how popular it'd be, or maybe even pairs, teams. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, and
Oh,
maybe I'll.
I mean, I asked you about that.
Yeah,
I think 2 podcasts ago,
yeah,
and I remember what the answer was. It's just too logistically too hard
yeah.
to
It's
implement. So I'm
it's
glad you guys have thought about it and figured it out.
and I'll push more into that to see. Maybe it won't be all matches, I think, but that'll be a team match, teams only match. That's different from being able to optionally participate in a team, but a team only match, you're in. It could be pairs. I'm not sure, but definitely a team is interesting, you know. So we'll get a couple of squad mates. Maybe they shoot as a yeah. They'll shoot. It'll change the dynamics a little bit. It'll be interesting to see. I'll be curious to try it out. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's gonna
because
happen in the next couple of months.
there's like the lot of hunter matches. They will have pairs
Yep, yep, for sure.
as a separate
Yeah,
entry, right? I know
exactly.
that for a lot of center fire long range events, they will have pairs matches, um, and yeah, and then with various kind of with variety of kind of rules of how it's set
Yeah,
up. The
yeah,
dynamics is really interesting. You know, like I think some people, I actually know some people that would never they only enter pairs matches because they
interesting.
they don't have certain skills that would make them
Yeah,
competitive, but
yeah,
they're very good at certain parts.
yeah,
But with a partner, they can
yeah,
you know they can produce.
yeah.
So it I think yeah it might open up
And
different
that's
level of
interesting
participation. Yeah,
because
I'll be very
because I
curious to
hadn't
see what
I
it looks
hadn't thought about changing the format, other than saying all of your scores will be aggregated in a team. Because we run the 22 hunter matches
yeah,
in Saskatoon and in BC. But is there a way to set up a match where collaborative work between team members can be beneficial? Obviously, they can spot for each other and provide coaching because they're in a team. But
yeah.
is there a team dynamics component where one? I don't know. I haven't thought about it, but minimally, it's going to
But just
be
the coaching
aggregate
part,
scores.
just the fact that if they can spot and call the shots,
Yeah, yeah,
I think that takes a that will make it that will already make it different,
yeah,
right? As
yeah,
opposed to just hearing impact
yeah.
or DQ from
Yeah, 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 yeah,
from the
yeah,
spotter,
yeah.
right?
And we and I got to watch some amazing pairs at the King of Tutu this past summer in Saskatoon, where guys were just talking, so well with each other, and being able to just get people on target and effectively, identify and correct and adapt and then engage and hit and move on. And it was something to watch, like a well rehearsed team is just beautiful. It's poetry in motion. It's amazing. I admire and respect the amount of work that goes into you know communication. Yeah, something to work on. That probably keep my marriage going. Communication skills. Nah, no, that's good. That's good. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so that's another thing. So yeah, on getting back. My ADHD is kicking in. Getting back to the paper precision. I think I'm excited about it. I enjoyed shooting it. For me, it's very relaxing. It's very zen like, and and you don't know what's going on. It drops a quarter of an inch away from the bullseye. You did everything the same. Was it the wind? Yeah, maybe not. I think Rick just got distracted. You know, and I was using the best gear that I had. I was able to get a few in the X ring, but not all of them in the X ring, and it's interesting. It's interesting. So it's going to be fun for sure. So I look forward to that. So we'll see. And I think I'm looking to have my match run in October. I'm hoping to have it at Stittsville. So I don't know if we can have one before that, but for sure sometime in October we'll have two events. One is going to be the CRPS team match, which is a 4-person team, and then another one could be the day before would be the paper precision demo, and that's going to be free to come on out, shoot. We'll have gear to try out. We'll have Ely ammo there to try out either before or after, and then you'll be there to sell them crates of it, Asmir, if you have any left. So we Ely provided several cases for us to hand out. So I've been sprinkling Ely ammo all across Canada since it arrived in our hands, and I'll have to pick up some more from you. I'm running low on some of those models. So yeah, so I can't wait. Was there anything else you want to cover on that paper precision, Asmir?
I think we're just yeah
Just
like the we've been talking about it for quite a while.
just do it.
Um, yeah, so I think we just need to It's just one of those things. I think we just need to
Yeah.
go and do it.
Yeah. And,
And
I've got
yeah,
some room in my head now for that. So now that the big summer tour's done, so it's gonna
yeah. I
be
mean,
nice.
and we'll yeah. I think the key. My goal is just to get people out
Yeah.
out shooting and the we can figure out the rules and classes and all of that
Yeah.
as it
Yeah.
becomes more competitive, but mainly to allow participation and people can participate, not be overwhelmed or
Yeah.
feel like they're outgunned, kind of showing up.
And
But
so, on that note, you've
yeah,
seen small bore. You've talked about people bringing stock rifles against the built-on shoots. You've seen CZ457s place very well, right?
yeah,
So it's not a rich man's game. It can be, but it doesn't
yeah,
have to be. The key thing is bringing something that's reliable and that you're comfortable with, right?
yeah. I mean, especially if you're shooting, like when you, so it's not um, uh, like bench rest when you're shooting with a sled,
Right.
and when with the machine rest and all of that. So it's there. You're when you get prone behind the rifle, you're still prone.
Yeah.
Your pulse is still there. You're very stable, but things are
Yeah.
still moving. And there's
Yeah.
still
You're still
wind.
breathing. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's still wind, there's still mirage, right? All of these things, light changes. So it's not guaranteed center, even with the top of the line rifle with the matched ammunition. The rifle will do its part, but you still need
Yeah.
to be able to pull the trigger at the right time.
Right.
So yeah, so I mean, and I think this is the when the targets get small, the elements quickly become an equalizer for the equipment. So the even if you have again superb rifle, if you're not making the right wind calls, like yeah, you're not going to be putting them in the middle.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
if you're doing a bit of a sleparazzi, that's from one of the Nintendo games. If you do a sleparazzi on the trigger,
Yeah.
they're not going
Oh,
to be
I'm
they're not
going to
going to be
steal that.
yeah, you're not
I'm
going
going
to
to
be
steal
landing
that.
in the middle. So there's still a
Yeah.
lot of fundamental skills that need to be there.
Yeah.
And But yeah, the equipment is going to be more enabler than the limiter.
Yeah. Actually, let me find. I saw an image today. It was at a rimfire bench rest match, and the 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 range was just covered with wind indicator flags. It was an insane amount of flags. I mean, it was one every 5 meters, it seemed, and it was just a sea of ribbon and wind vanes. I
They
can't find.
do go a little bit cray cray, especially when they do air gun bench rest,
Yeah,
right? Because we're talking about projectiles that are potentially much lighter,
yeah,
um, and but the groups also get quite tighter because the high velocity air guns are have can shoot very very tight groups, but they get a little bit crazy with the wind flags there. Yeah, it looks like basically like a carnival.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
It
you're
was
just
it was pretty
expecting
cool.
dancers to emerge from those in between the flags. So I think we kind of talked about that. We'll just copy kind of what the Olympic range setup is, 10 and 30 meter wind flags,
Right.
and or something along those
Yeah.
lines, just to keep it simple.
Exactly. Just
And that
so people
yeah,
can see what's going on and be able to kind of start correlating the way the flags are moving, what direction and kind of what they need to potentially change in their wind holds.
yeah. And I
So yeah,
think for the flags, I know some of the clubs, some of the local clubs here, they actually bring their own flags to the other club um,
okay,
to the shoot, not because they're so snobby. It's just the other club doesn't have the same flags, but it's a
right,
similar group of shooters. And I think it'd be good if everybody standardizes somewhat. So then when you go to
yeah,
club, if everybody's using the same flag, nobody is at advantage or disadvantage.
right,
Right. So no, it's like, oh, it's my club. The little pinky flag over there. That's my secret right? That the little pink ribbon in the corner is telling you about the extra swirl when it comes in. So
Yeah.
everybody, if everybody can observe the conditions the same way, it's plain, it's plain level field kind of for everybody. I think that's what makes it,
That would be cool.
easily to equal. It's easier to participate, right? So you're not
Yeah.
intimidated going to a new range.
Yep. I think we'll just get it started and keep adding as we grow, and like typical, it'll evolve as our experience and our abilities grow. So, like right now, I'm at a point in the bench rest or prone where I don't have enough skills to translate what I see on the wind flag to a change in wind call. I'm just happy to be shooting,
Yeah.
So,
But nice thing is, and you'll see it. But maybe it's nice for me because I'm a shooting geek. But I just started shooting scope more this year.
oh, look at you!
Right. So and because I usually shoot iron sights. But the nice thing is when you're shooting with a scope and the rifle is not moving, you see the wind, you know where the shots are supposed to go, and you see that wind,
Right.
you see the wind flag, and you see where it goes, and like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what it's doing. And then you can compensate for that.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't, then if you make a mistake and like, oh, okay, well, that's not what I thought it was, or maybe Mirage did something a little extra there to help out with it, and so
Now, when you're shooting, when you're shooting iron sights, do you have a spotting scope typically besides, or are you able to see your hits through your dial?
so you have a spotting, so if you were shooting paper, you have a spotting scope.
Okay.
The bane of my existence.
Okay.
Or you shoot electronic target. I have electronic target, and it's like one of those memes. Like if I win a lottery, I won't tell anybody, but there will be signs. So if there's a local range full of electronic targets, somebody won lottery. So when I shoot an electronic target, I get this. It shows up on my computer on the screen, so I don't need to have a spotting scope. But generally, you would have a spotting scope set up, and then you can you're kind of behind the rifle, and usually spotting scope will be kind of right there with the angled eyepiece, so you can kind of take a peek. Again, bane of my existence because my left eye is very weak, so I usually spend up so much time trying to get an eye box there, and
interesting.
But that's the. If you're shooting with a scope, of course, you would see your score on the paper.
Yeah. Now, the departure from the regular PRS world is that most people that are shooting paper use second focal plane instead of first focal plane, right? So they can get the magnification without the increase in reticle size or stadia line obstructing the target. So interesting.
But there are guys that show up to a bench rest matches here, pure bench rest matches. There's a local club here that runs bench rest matches once a month, and there is a guy. I don't know if you should be mentioning names here. I'll let him or her announce themselves. But shows up with a PRS setup with first focal plane scope and does quite well, like top 3 finish on regular basis.
Okay, nice.
So as long as that reticle is not too chunky, like in the middle part, like in the central part, so you can have a either dot or whatever it is, the middle part, so it doesn't obscure the center of the target and allows you to kind of precisely line it up. You can do well with the first focal plane scope as well.
Because Athlon Optics, one of our great sponsors, sent us to demo the Harris SPR 15 to 60 by 56 second focal plane scope. So I think that would be perfect.
So you got them. That's why I couldn't get them. So that explains it.
You could. I will lend Tesro.ca the Athlon Harris if you want to try it out for your event.
That's so they have 2. Actually, Athlon has 2 second focal plane scopes that are quite good. And let me see.
There's Argos BTR 10 to 40 second focal plane. Let me look up scale here. Aris ETR has a 15 to 60 second focal
plane. I think Harris is like 800 and around $800 or $900.
Yeah.
And Aris, I think it's going to be more like 12 to 1400.
It's 13 US.
13 US. Yeah, so it's going to be
The
more,
Aris is 13
yeah,
US.
more like mid teens there.
Yeah.
So
And the Harris
Harris,
is
we've seen some.
749.
There's a bunch of guys that we had some, and they're. I wanted to actually take it out and test it out, but yeah, they were sold.
They look
Um,
good. I mean, I looked through it briefly. I was hoping to mount it, but I didn't get a chance. So I brought it all the way with me to the west, and I brought it all the way back in the box. Didn't get a
Yeah,
chance to
well,
try it.
yeah, yeah, bring it. I mean, again, I had it in my hands.
Yeah.
JP and I were looking at it. We saw it actually at the trade show
Okay.
when we were in Vegas, and they're like, "Oh, we need this because there's um, that scope kind of has everything that you need
Yeah.
for prone and bench rest
Yeah.
under $1,000. There is no other scope that has those specs."
Well, here's an interesting thing. So I was speaking to our good friends at Vortex Canada,
Yeah.
and they've got a Vortex Golden Eagle, 15 to 60 by 52 second focal plane scope, but that one's like almost $4,000 MSRP off their website. So
Yeah. I
it's a
said
different
under $1,000.
different snack bracket for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
So
yeah, they only have two 15 to 60s, and those are the Golden Eagles second focal plane. So they're both going to be around that same price, $38.99 MSRP. So, but and I'd love to see them back side to side, but I was using the Citron S3, right? That one is like a second focal plane also. I think that one's can't remember what it was.
is it 8 to 32 or 10 to 50?
It was 8 to 32 is the one I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, that's
That's the one.
yeah, JP actually used to shoot that scope on his first F class setup.
It was my first. It was my first long range sniper rifle. It's got 70 MOA of travel, I believe.
And they updated since you got yours. Now it's a 1/8 MOA clicks.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So which was like that was the only minus for that scope. That's why people would go to larger S3,
The quarter,
10 to 50, because it had because he had eighth MOA click. So they updated it now, and I think that basically kind of checked off the final checkbox for that scope.
And that one's only $1,300, so it plays favorably against the Athlon Aris.
Yeah.
Aris. And I think they've got another. There's a 10 to 50. That's $1,100. Yeah, the 10 to 50 is cheaper. That's interesting. Oh, it's on sale. That's why it's regular $1,400. Oh, this is Citron's website. So sorry, I'm not shopping. I'm doing research.
I'm not shopping. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really 10 to 50 by 60, $1,400 US on Citron. You don't have any of those in stock, do you?
We do. Actually, I might have some on the shelf. We always have some Citron. So
I think I bought my Citron from you, actually. I think
possibly.
you're the guy.
Well,
either that one or the S-TAC that I competed with for many years. So
yeah,
thank you, Asmir.
Yeah, so Citron is one of the few companies that has a full range of second focal scopes, second focal plane scopes, and because a lot of companies kind of stepped away from it and those fine reticles and stuff. Not that they can't make it, not that they didn't make it. Like Leopold used to have a whole bunch of them, and then just stopped making them. But bench rest guys are kind of not that hard on the equipment.
Yeah.
So they don't beat up their scopes, and they and bench rest market kind of stagnated a little bit.
Yeah.
Over the last decade. So I think they kind of stepped away from the companies kind of stepped away, and then few of them are still making, like the Night Force has dedicated second focal plane scopes. Citron does.
Really?
Yeah, and March does as well.
Okay.
So yeah, so if you go to like F class centerfire matches, those are the scopes.
Yeah, I don't have March snack bracket money.
Yeah, March is it's up there with the prices.
Yeah, but I mean, you get what you pay for.
They're great. Yeah,
Is there the
I don't know much about them other than nobody's complained about it. When when the only thing that people complain about is the price, it's a good product.
yeah, that's the only negative.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine is just switched over to become a March sponsored shooter. So he hasn't shot it yet, but he will be in the coming season. So we'll get the range reports and see how it works in the PRS world.
And
They've got some nice scopes that are set up well for PRS apparently.
yeah,
Field of view
and
and
they
night
have
vision range.
some crazy
Yeah,
large scopes like the 80 millimeter and I
yeah,
think 80x as well,
yeah.
like
I think it's a
pretty
Genesis.
yeah, pretty out there.
Yeah,
So yeah, but you don't need to have March or night sports to
no,
be
no,
competitive. You can do
no.
well. You can do well with much more affordable scopes, and it
Yeah,
just boils down to, you know, what uh, um, what works for you, kind of thing.
yeah.
So
Because I mean, once it's zeroed, it's zeroed, right? I mean, the reticle is not going to be shifting. You're not manipulating turrets, so turret accuracy is not going to be an issue, really. It's
and you
more.
have ciders,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, you have ciders, so
yeah,
you can go back to ciders and see
yeah,
how truly you're on. As I'd say that the most important thing is how good is the eye box, so you can
yeah.
get comfortably in the eye
True.
box. Parallax needs to be bang on,
Yeah,
so that's the thing that is, I would say, one of the most critical
mm,
components
interesting.
for that distance, because you're talking very small targets,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So parallax is critical to be bang on. Otherwise, you'll definitely not be putting them in the same group.
yeah,
Um, and and reticles are generally kind of small, non-obtrusive. There's very little or no information on the reticle because you don't really need it.
yeah,
Most of the reticles are either target dot or fine crosshair or maybe duplex type of reticles or
yeah,
MOA. That there's various names of it. Called MOA is basically will have MOA hash marks on it. That's
yeah,
pretty much it, right?
yeah.
So no Christmas trees and crazy amount
No,
of info because targets are not moving. You know the distance,
yeah.
and yeah, you don't really
It just
need any of the info.
I know it just feels weird to be shooting through glass with a clearer field than just a duplex reticle with a small, tiny dot on it. It just feels weird to me because I just saw the reticle picture of the old Citron S3 with a kind of the basic Christmas tree, and I said, "Oh, I remember that." I said, "Oh, we've come a long way from there." So yeah, where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. Let me share that. The good old days. Do, 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 do.
Are you sharing something?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. There it is. There it is. Ah, the good old. So this is my long range sniper reticle. Back in the day, that was the bee's knees. I thought I was all hot shit back then with this reticle.
Hey, I'd say probably like 80% of first-person shooters will have this type
Yeah,
of reticle
oh,
when they
that's
get a
true.
scope, right?
Yeah,
It's been around
funny.
these type of reticles for a long
It's
time.
funny. It works. I mean, it
Yeah,
works. For the purpose of the
yeah,
for paper that doesn't move, and it's always a fixed distance. Once you're zeroed, pick the magnification that you need.
yeah.
And for the 50 meter, I was only shooting maybe 14 power. I don't know if I should have gone higher. The amount of stuff I don't know about shooting paper, Asmir is
JP was making fun of me because I like to shoot very high magnification,
yeah,
um, especially if I'm shooting kind of off the bipod or off the bench.
yeah, because it
So I
doesn't
run
move
it like full 45 or
full whatever
50.
whatever. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Um,
He'll come
and
around.
and he's like, "We don't need that info. The ammo is not that accurate." I'm like, oh, in my head it is.
Yeah,
In
exactly.
my head I'm not. But I like it's nice to you. Obviously, if you're shooting position, there's you
Yeah,
can't run anything
yeah,
over
yeah,
a
yeah.
25 because it's going to
It'd
be
be too
flying in front of your face. But
flying
yeah,
everywhere. But if you're on a bipod with a bag behind you and you're just lying down, I
yeah,
mean, it's pretty good.
it's nice. I mean, and it is bit addictive. Again, if that's your game,
Yeah,
you're literally printing the holes on the paper and you can see them instantly.
I
Um,
know. That's a
and
sad part.
watching the wind flag. So yeah, So it's a different pace, different game. We'll the so yeah.
It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And again, we'll finalize the targets. We're playing around with using some of the targets that we've come up with, and I think there's some variations. We'll see what works best, and then we'll launch it in 2025 once we've ironed out the major bugs out of it. But yeah, that's going to be fun nonetheless. So that's awesome. Now that we've talked about that, what about gear, Asmir? Because it's always better to buy gear than develop your shooting fundamentals. I'm a firm believer
Like
in
that post on
spending.
the forum
Yeah,
today.
yeah. It's so true, but we're all guilty of that. Again, shooting nice gear, like as a shooter, my skill, I don't practice, so my expectations are very low in terms of how well I'm going to place or how well I'm going to shoot. But if I can shoot really nice gear, I'm going to have a great day because it just feels precise. It's like driving a very nice car. I get to I drive a 2005 Dodge Ram. It's not a very civilized machine. When I drive my wife's Audi, it's like, oh man, if I could have this for 4 weeks or 6 weeks when I'm driving, that would be great. But so nice gear is good. So you when you sent out the last Tesro update on Tuesday, like there were like 5 or 6 rifles that I wanted immediately. Maybe we can just go through some of the. Well, what do you have in stock now that's new and noteworthy?
Yeah.
You've got,
So we got some Anschutz rifles that we've been waiting for quite a long time
yeah,
to be restocked. Um, so there's so let's talk about 1710,
yeah,
which is for people that have been around small bore for a while. They've probably heard name Match 54, which is kind of
yeah,
Anschutz action that's been around for decades.
yeah.
And there's reason like there's reasons why they haven't changed it and they keep making it. It's probably won more Olympic medals than any platform ever will because they keep taking the disciplines out of the Olympics. But
Right.
so it's Match 54 based. It's a repeater, and comes in the ACC chassis. They also
Yeah.
listened to the shooters that want stainless steel barrels. So stainless steel on Anschutz is quite you know it's quite unusual. It used to be only custom work, but these are actually Anschutz stainless steel barrels, so that it's quite a nice setup, and it comes in a full blown ACC chassis.
Let me try and get a let me
And
try and get a picture of
we
it.
really like this gun. Actually, JP was shooting variant of this gun. It was XLR chassis when first
Yeah.
year. That's the one when we brought out the demo,
Yep.
and that he ended up acquiring. This one is an ACC. It is one of my favorite repeaters.
Okay.
It's basically bench rest level of the quality and the
Okay.
precision, but in a repeater. And Yeah, I mean
Let me.
it's a definitely a high end rifle, but it's probably the one of the
Wow.
um, yeah,
This one's a
this
20-inch barrel
that's the
with a
20, yeah.
suppressor on it.
So yeah, well, if you live in a proper country, you can have or
Everywhere, but
or
everywhere but Canada, you mean?
maybe it's just a tube, right? So like I have a tube in mine. It's not a suppressor, but it does quite.
Okay.
Yeah, and it comes to two barrel versions. Like there's a 20-inch threaded and 23-inch straight pipe. Um, yeah, so that's a very nice rifle. And it's easy for me to say it, but I think it's a good value for what you're getting out of it as a factory gun.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
it's under $4,000, which is a pile of money, I know, but that chassis itself is that's a full-on ACC.
Yeah.
It's not Gen 2. It's not modified. It's a full-on ACC chassis, and that barrel action itself is just under $3,000 to get it on its own. So
Just look at
yeah,
that trigger blade.
yeah. So so we got those.
You got those in stock now?
We do we
Okay.
do after like 2 years.
Nice.
Um, yeah,
So if
I
people want one, they should buy one now. Or are they spoken for already?
No, they're not. We're getting a new batch of them. The first batch was gone really quick. We got another batch. So yeah, and then the other Anschutz is 1761 APR. APR stands for Anschutz Precision Rifle. Not very
Okay.
hard to decode. So that's 1761 system. So 1761 action in XRS chassis, and you know how much we love XRS here.
You do. You guys probably sold more XRS than MTT themselves. And
Yeah, I mean,
I saw so many Tesro build rifles out west, like everywhere. I could tell that flat dark earth one. It's with a stainless barrel. I said, "Is that a Tesro build?" I said, "Ah, Tesro build. How's it running for you?" I said, "Perfect." So
yeah, I mean,
whatever you guys are doing, it's working really well.
the XRS chassis is just such a good value proposition from kind of the what you're getting for that price point.
Yeah,
It's yeah, you get better chassis with more functionality, yes, but you need to pay more. And then when you go for less than that, it quickly losing functionality. So that's such a
yeah,
good chassis. And I think it's kind of like 80-20 rule. I think for 80% of shooter, this chassis has everything that they need.
yeah. The only thing I don't like about it is the length of pull adjustment doesn't have that knobby adjusty thingy screw that you got to use spacers instead. Not the
Yeah,
end of the world, but
but
for us,
that's the cost cutting, right? That's
yeah,
why it is
yeah.
at the price point that it is.
Somebody must sell an adjustable adapter that just slaps in there, right? Because for us, because we're always loaning our rifles out. So for us, we need to adapt it quickly to different shooter sizes and dimensions. So we always see a variation,
Yeah,
like so many variations on elevation and windage for people. And the cheek riser is big, but the length of pull sometimes is the go no go. That's even more important than the cheek height. So, but yeah, I think this now do they come with the shrouded front end, or is it
they do
only
not
this
come
one?
with a shrouded front end. We were
Okay,
actually thinking about shrouding them, just
yeah,
because, just to kind of make it more Tesla-esque,
yeah. It
more
depends on the
throttleable.
intended use, though. I mean, it could be an option, right? You can
It
you
could
can
be it
tick a
could be an
box
option. It's
and
easy.
and get
It's pretty easy to put
yeah, yeah,
yeah, to put a
the
far
shroud
end, close
with the
far end.
Arca rail.
Yeah.
Then
And
you'd be stuck with a bunch of fore ends just lying in a corner somewhere.
we shipped them. We shipped them with our builds.
Oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So they have a
yeah.
choice.
So we
Gotcha.
send it because
Oh, nice. That's smart.
you cannot get XRS without this standard. We
Oh,
cannot get it
okay.
with the
I gotcha.
both far end
You
from the
you
factory.
oh you always get this fore end. I gotcha.
Yeah, you always get this. That's
Okay,
right.
gotcha. Okay.
And you were showing the U.S. actually, believe it or not,
Oh,
for certain things, the
yeah.
U.S. prices are higher than here. So this is 2,600 USD. We're
Yep.
selling it for 2,800 Canadian. So
Okay.
yeah, so for monopoly money. Um, so yeah, the for strange reason that this is one of the few things actually that where the prices are more competitive in Canada
Interesting.
than US. And yeah, and the reason
Yeah.
why this rifle took a long time to arrive is the 10 shot mags for 1761. Actually, I have some
I
on
saw them. They're sexy.
and that's why they took so long
Oh,
to get these. So finally, and this was kind of a hindrance. We talked about I think last podcast.
yeah.
Why the 1761 not get included in PRS? It didn't have 10 shot mags.
Okay.
And Anschutz took a while to get these released. So now they're available, and I think that's going to be another platform kind of to consider. And
Nice.
1761 is kind of if it kind of to put in the terms for people that they're not familiar with the Anschutz lines, I would put it as an upscale 457.
Okay.
It's very 457 like, or you could say
Okay.
457 very 1761 like. I can't remember which one was released first. They were released around the same time, but a lot of similar features
Yeah.
to 457, including the barrel
Okay.
changes. So you can put in
Oh, okay.
you can put a drop. Yeah, you can put a drop in barrel barrels, so you can change it between the calibers if you want to
Okay.
do a 22 Magnum or 17 HMR.
Yep.
They used to make them in Mach 2, which
Okay.
is this.
And they
Not
come in
very much.
22-inch barrel
Yeah,
from the factory. Okay.
correct. And
Nice.
it is threaded end.
Yeah.
Um,
Fits
so
the Spearhead machine
yeah, it looks
perfectly.
very nice. That's the first thing we did. We put it on it just to see what it looks like.
A tuner?
No,
Or a brake?
we put just a brake.
A brake. Okay.
Yeah, just to kind of see
And
what it looks like.
what's the trigger on there?
So trigger is Anschutz trigger.
Okay.
I mean, this is kind of one of the
Oof.
Anschutz. Anschutz has many triggers.
Yeah.
Don't quiz me on it because there's too many variants. But
Interesting.
they put they didn't put obviously their hyper light trigger on it
Yeah.
because it's
So
intended
it's
for
almost
PRS.
just under 2 pounds,
Yeah.
750 grams.
It has a good range of adjustability, but they kind of chose to go with a little bit
Yeah.
heavier trigger
Interesting.
compared to what's kind of available
Okay.
from Anschutz. Yeah.
Right. And is that so? Oh, you've got that you've got
Yes,
two
we
in
do.
stock.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Look at you. Must be nice to have inventory.
It is nice.
What's it like? I'm sure that's a new feeling for you.
That's a new thing this year. Inventory, things
Inventory. That's
available.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's craziness. We forgot
Yeah.
how it was. It's been so long. So yeah.
And what else do you have rifle wise? You had 4.57s?
We are gonna have some 4.57s builds next week because
Okay.
there are a lot of check marks that need to be checked off to have
Okay.
all the components. But
Okay.
ACC Gen 2 was released
Nice.
a couple of weeks ago.
That's gonna be.
We got some.
Now, what's the price differential between a XRS versus ACC Gen 2 build?
Not much, like $400 or $500.
Okay, so
Yeah,
for those that want the
because
full
ACC
bore
Gen 2 is
competition,
priced very well.
yeah,
And I think it's probably going to be one of the go-to chassis for PRS because it's 1250s retail.
Yeah.
And it's definitely an upgrade from the XRS.
Yeah.
And
Do you know what the ballpark is for that build potentially? You don't too early to say.
Well, the one with
It's
the
not on the website
LRP
yet.
was just over 2,000. So like if it's comparable with the
Oh,
XRS,
wow. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It will really depend what components it has on it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
like I want to say, just kind of taking the XRS build and just add like the difference in ACC,
Right.
the cost of the chassis more or less, because we're gonna put some more options on it as well. But we're super excited about the Gen 2. And being ACC, chassis doesn't look as sexy with shorter barrels, so we're gonna have some 24-inch options.
Yeah.
I
mean,
think it's gonna look nice.
Your 4.57 XRS builds are such a good deal. Like,
so are you telling me I should increase the price? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I mean, for MTR 20-inch barrel, 1,400. I mean, I don't know if these are current builds, but it's around 14 to 16, depending on the options, right? I mean, it's like the CZ Varmint MTR is already $1,200.
Yeah.
So for $200 more, you're getting an XRS chassis, or 200 with the
those are kind of like, again, I'm not going to call them budget guns because they're not budget.
No.
You can get much cheaper 22s, but for the competition setup, it has almost everything that you need.
I mean, the hot ticket for a production build right now is a CZ 4.57 Varmint MTR, right? Then you throw on, an affordable optic under 500, US dollar, and you're in for under the $1,600 US price point. You can't beat that. I mean, the accuracy out of the box is is solid, and unless you're counting points dropped versus point hits per stage, you're not even going to notice the difference in an upgrade to a custom barrel from anybody. So
Those CZ barrels are for the price, they are
yeah,
unbeatable.
you can't really beat them.
Yeah,
I
you
believe it.
cannot get any pipe for that money.
No,
I'm not even. There's nothing cheaper.
no,
Like that that barrel is, between 350 and $400 retail. There's
it's
no pipe
amazing.
you can get for that.
Like we spend double that to get even close to the quality.
Yeah, and they are for the cost of, they're performing really consistently.
Yeah, for sure.
And
sure.
yeah, I mean, is it the best barrel in the world? Absolutely not.
But for
But there
300,
are a lot.
$400.
But it's $400. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's $400.
Yeah, and it's
You know,
shooting. It's shooting better than a lot of
Yeah.
shooters. So,
like you're not selling those barrels separately, are you?
we do when we have them. We do.
Okay, because some guys would start off with a synthetic with a sporter barrel, right? An easy upgrade is to buy an MTR, a Varmint MTR chambered barrel, 20-inch,
Yeah.
22-inch,
We
and throw
have
it
an
on there.
upgrade section on our website dedicated
Do
to
you?
457.
Oh my gosh, is that
Yeah.
gun parts?
Yeah. So under the
Oh
under
yeah,
gun
okay.
parts,
Oh,
there's 457 parts and accessories.
jeez. Yeah.
And just so mini sets and these kind of things.
Yeah.
Just whenever we get the mini sets, they are quite popular.
Well, I'm
and
looking at the. Is this true? You got a 457 Varmint mini set right now, 24-inch barrel.
But that's not MTR. So this
Oh,
is
okay.
the when 455 was the current
Yeah.
rifle. This was the
Okay.
top of the line barrel from CZ.
Okay.
And
Still a great deal if you're looking to get a.
these barrels are so like we're gonna use these for some of the builds that we intend for the paper.
Yeah.
For paper
Well,
shooting because they're longer
that's what I was
barrels.
thinking.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
put iron sights on it. It's got a good sight radius. And it's $300.
Yeah, it's $300. Comes with a 5-round magazine.
Yeah,
and the mag release or the spacer.
Yeah, so that's you need to have that if you're doing 22. If you're doing HMR or WMR mags, then you don't need a spacer. But I mean the CZ barrels they're coming factory barrels. The Varmint kind of family of the barrels. So both straight up Varmint and Varmint MTR.
Yeah.
Great barrels.
What are the lengths those come in? 20, 16, 20, 22?
So MTR comes in 16 and 16 and up to 24. So the
really
range, the CZ range. When we talk about future, we can talk about more. But I guess we're already talking about it.
Yeah, we're talking about it now.
The CZ
I'm invested in this conversation, Asmir, literally, figuratively, and financially.
The CZ range, which we have posted on our website, just because people are looking at them, will come with the 24-inch version of that MTR barrel, and
it's on your website, but it's not flagged as a new
because we don't have it. That's a future product, right? It's coming out, so we just listed it because people are asking about it. So what are the specs? So I'm like, well, here. Go check it out.
There you go. Here's a CZ range,
and it's
so
very LRP-esque.
Is this the real price? $12.99?
I think so. I think it's going to be that or very close to it.
This is going to be the new hotness. What do you know? What the chamber is? Is it the MTR chamber?
Yeah, it's MTR.
A match chamber, 24-inch match chamber for $12.99. This is like this is what everyone's going to be switching to.
Yeah, it's the mic drop.
It's the 457 mic drop.
Yeah. Yeah, these are we have a bunch of people waiting for these. We're super excited about them. It's kind of like the MTR plus, right?
It's
A
just
little bit longer barrel, and it's addressing some of the things that MTR some people didn't like on the MTR. It's missing a little bit of adjustments on it, so it's going to have some
so
adjustments.
the
Yeah,
cheek riser is part of that. It looks like I can't really
yeah.
see, but there's an adjustable cheek riser in there. Huh. This is good, Asmir. This is the new MTR, the 2025 MTR. Smart. Now all they need to do is do this in kind of the night sky paint job. You know
Oh, you
the
love
black
that.
with yeah. I love
I know
I love that.
exactly what that.
You know
Um,
the white specs and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
kind of like the truck bed liner look.
Yep, yep.
I think I saw a gray version of that one that looked spectacular also. But the
Well, this
24
is
inch
yeah, this
24
is
inch
yeah. It's very very similar to LRP
yeah.
stock slash chassis. Depends how you want to look at it,
Yeah.
but it's more of a stock than chassis really.
Yeah.
And just the this is kind of what's underneath the LRP.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, because the range existed as a rifle, but in center fire, and I guess
Yeah.
they
That's good.
they listened
That,
to requests, and
no,
they made a smaller version of it as well.
that adjustable cheek riser is key. Like that will address a lot of the shortcomings. Again, just from lending people the rifle,
Yeah,
and then length of pull. If we can find an adjustable length of pull butt
yeah,
plate, that would be then we're done. That solves all my problems for the Rimfire Competition Academy. This could be our new training rifle. Mind you, the XRS one is only a couple $100 more. If I can get it in a 24-inch match chambered 457, then that solves all my problems, right?
yeah. And yeah, so I mean,
Interesting.
this is a new thing coming from CZ, and we hope to see them,
Yeah,
and of course the entire MTR family, because we've been kind of haven't had any longer MTR barrels in for a while. Yeah, I think we're sold out at, like, we scraped the depths of the shelves to find any that were available. But
but
yeah,
this one's interesting too. The 457 varmint with a 24-inch match barrel and the Boyd stock.
yeah. So that's basically same gun, but just a Boyd stock.
Yeah, with the adjustable butt plate, same price.
Yeah.
Is
So
this is
this,
this is this new or is this old?
well, it's new and old. So this is a
You retail guys,
okay.
are we going to be able to buy this? Yes or
Okay,
no?
so it's let me explain. So the this is CZ USA gun. This is not
Okay.
a CZUB.
Okay.
CZUB
Gotcha.
is the CZ European.
Yeah.
UB
Okay.
stands
Yeah.
for Whiskey Broad, which is where the Czech in Czech where the headquarters are.
Yeah.
Whereas the CZ USA, it comes from basically comes from Kansas to us. But
Okay.
the actions are made in CZ. They go to
Yeah.
US. They dress
Okay.
them up
Yeah.
in whatever the for the CZ USA needs are,
Gotcha.
and then we get them in. So this is a
Gotcha.
CZ USA gun, because obviously the Boyd is the US company. This stock is kind of married with the barreled action in the US, and then it comes to us. They had a
Gotcha.
couple of different versions of this. I did not know personally that these are actually MTR 24-inch barrels, and I
Because that's the
got
game changer.
that
That's the
is the
game
game changer,
changer.
because the first version only had the varmint,
Regular.
this
Yeah.
regular varmint, which is still a
Yeah.
great barrel, but
Yeah.
not the
Match.
not the match, and 24
Right.
inch on top of it, which makes this really great rear rifle, and it's a production.
Yeah.
Like Boyd
Yeah.
stock is Boyd stock. It has been this AT1 has been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
They make it, for 1022 and Savage and all sorts
Yeah.
of different rifles. I mean, it's fairly basic, but you know
Yeah.
what you're getting.
Yeah. It's a heavy stock though because of all that
Yeah,
stuff on it. But yeah, with the 24-inch, I think it'll balance it well. This could
yeah,
be this. I'm interested now.
and now that the stigma of the long barrel, it has been cleared up.
It's
Not
not a stigma. It's a selling feature now.
not yeah. mean, like I was always scratching my head. Why do people like these short barrels on 22? But
Yeah,
it is, it changes the dynamics of the gun
for sure.
quite a bit. But I'm personally, I'm glad that now the community has embraced longer barrels, and it's
Well,
good.
it's slowly adopting. I'm not. I wouldn't go as far as embrace because again, for me, there's a balance point between
Yeah, for sure.
between stability, velocity, and maneuverability on a stage.
Yeah.
You know, as a new shooter, I'd rather teach them with a short 20-inch rather than a 24-inch, just because I know it's gonna, it's like using a spear instead of a toothpick, to get something. So
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. It's just that there was a point of time where it's like, oh, the long barrels, it's going to slow down and you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
shoot that
yeah, yeah,
well, and
for sure, for
the
sure.
the the,
Yeah,
the Target 22s coming out of Europe have had 26-inch barrel
yeah,
for decades for a
yeah,
reason.
yeah,
So yeah, and but I think it was just like, as the sport kind of evolved. Um,
yeah,
Things are kind of being picked up. But yeah, completely agree with you. I mean, shorter barrels, like if you actually even look at the um, Olympic style shooting, a lot of
yeah,
shooters of a more petite stature
yeah,
will shoot
sure.
shorter barrels, and it will have extension to get the sight
Yeah,
radius, but just to be able to balance it out,
yeah,
because
and
that
the
long barrel does bring a lot of weight forward, and it's hard to balance out.
yeah,
Yeah.
right now the most popular loner rifle we have, uh, when women when I see that there's a female shooter and I see them there, the kind of same height as me, length of pole is going to be the same. Is I'll give them two or three options, and they always end up with the CZ457 16-inch and the KRG Bravo chassis,
What's the
just
length
because
of pull
it's
on it?
shorter. It's kind of I think I've got to set it in the short to medium length. I think it's got one spacer in it, um, but it's the reach isn't too crazy. Like the KRG Bravo is already pretty short normally, so even adding one spacer kind of makes it normal. It's really the balance of it. The 16-inch Varmint MTR barrel, it just feels perfect.
Yeah,
There's no extra weighting on it.
I don't know why somebody chiseled in that length of pull should be 13 and a half inches and sent a memo to all the rifle manufacturers or more. And for
Yeah,
people that have shorter extremities
yeah,
like myself,
yeah,
kind of struggle with that. So new ACC Gen 2
yeah.
has significantly shorter length of pull than
Really?
the old ACC. Yep.
Okay. I'm looking forward to trying
So
that out.
I think it goes down to 12.
Oh, that's amazing.
So so that's why I think it's going to be um, it's
Yeah,
ergonomically going to be much. You can
it's
always make it longer, right? And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you can, because it has the same interface. You can buy the long a buttstock part
yeah, yeah,
from MBT. So you can always make it longer. You can always add crap at the end, but it's hard
yeah,
to make it shorter. Um,
yeah.
so I agree with you. The length of pull, that's a bane of many
It's
shooters' existence
it's a
because
challenge.
it's a
I think
challenge.
the specs were developed by Dutch people. You
Yeah.
know, so so when did I realize that I was not average height? Like pointed out to me. So I go to business trips everywhere. The only time I felt really short was when I went to the Netherlands and you use the urinals there. And they're like this high on me. It's like a
Is this for
ballistic
vomiting or for
exercise.
peeing?
It's like a ballistic exercise trying to get it in there. I was like, oh man, I'm just barely making a mark here. Anyway, that's too much information. We got a question from Chris Bartram. Hey Chris, how's it going? Any chance of a 4.57 range in left hands, or even just left-handed rifles in general?
Oh man, let's talk about left-handed rifles.
Yeah, let's talk about
We
left. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's
every 2 or 3 events, someone comes up to me and says, "The world for shooters sucks if you're a lefty."
yes,
You know.
I agree. I have many close friends that are shooters and competitive shooters, and I know what kind of pain they go through to get left-handed equipment. And unfortunately, for a lot of manufacturers, especially manufacturers that are focusing on a mass market,
Yeah.
CZ included, it's just there is not enough financial incentive for them to go to make left-handed equipment. When you go to ultra high end,
Yeah.
they all make left-handed because they're custom making it. So let's talk about season 457. So left-handed action does exist. There are not that many
Okay.
variants, but if there is an action, we can put
Yeah.
any barrel on it. Unfortunately, because we cannot buy barreled actions at this point, the left-handed barreled action, we basically need to buy what we end up buying is we buy a rifle, we cannibalize it, and we use it to do a build or change over, which unfortunately increases the cost. Even the left-handed rifle themselves for the same spec are more expensive than right-handed.
I think people would buy it, man, because right now the option is nothing. Right?
Yeah.
You have a choice of nothing or expensive.
Exactly. So going back to ACC Gen 2, we were going to do with the XRS, but ACC Gen 2, ACC, or even a regular ACC, because it's all metal, it's going to be easier to cut. And we're working on a first prototype.
To mill it out.
To mill it out, and to basically turning into left-handed. And I had a conversation with the guys from MDT, and they're like, it's not on the horizon anywhere. So I'm like, well, we're just going to cut it. And he was like super happy. My sales rep was like super happy that is like, oh, you guys, good on you. That because like the left-handed people are going to be happy. So yeah, we're working on. Unfortunately, as far as the left-handed models, I think CZ is going to be adding them if they're going to have a full spectrum. I don't know.
I mean, there's a 457 American, a 457 Varmint. Those are the only two CZ 457 models. Oh, Lux.
Sorry, Lux or Premium. I keep forgetting one or the other. There's one with sights, and which is like anti-PRS gun. That's the gun.
But again, the action exists. So PRS is based on chassis and accessories, right?
Yeah. The only unfortunate thing is that it's the cost. It adds some cost because they're not readily available. There is no like a entry level options that we could maybe use, or people can buy and cannibalize them to build it up. So that's the part that kind of sucks. But I mean, they do exist.
The 457 Varmint has a barreled action. It's not a man's chamber, but it's a heavy barrel.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
that is the best option, right? That's the kind of closest to it. That's that barrel is not too shabby. That's a pretty decent barrel. Some of those
20-inch barrel
quite well.
Yep. Just throw it into a 457 ACC Gen 2 with a new Tesro modded left-hand bolt clearance, and you're good to go, right?
Yeah. And bolt and safety. Like there's a little bit of milling to be done, but
I think MDT makes a left-handed rail also, right? I thought I saw one on your website.
So CZ makes left-handed rail, and again, it's more expensive. So we do have
economies of scale. Economies of scale.
Yeah,
I understand,
and it's like significantly more expensive. Like I was actually hesitant to bring them in. I'm like, I feel like everybody's getting ripped off here, but they just cost more for whatever reason. And but they do exist. CZ makes them, but MDT one is a little bit ambi. But some people prefer a dedicated left-handed rail. So they do exist. Okay. So we were slowly Legoing pieces together to have full left-handed bill, and left-handed people can kind of finally be taken care of. Because I like the folks that I know they're left-handed, they never give up their equipment. They're like, what if my kid is left-handed? I need and I can never get gear. I'm just keeping it. So
we had another question on what is
Ultralux.
the Ultralux?
Yeah, so Ultralux.
I've never heard of the Ultralux.
Ultralux is kind of the trainer, and a Lux for the baby.
Yeah, got it.
So trainer is basically Lux without the Lux wood.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
Lux is trainer without the trainer length of barrel, but it comes
Okay.
with a nice that nice
Gotcha.
wood, and and then there's premium, which comes with again a little bit nicer walnut on it. So
Oh, the Ultralux is 28.6-inch barrel.
yeah,
Holy cow.
yeah,
Oh,
you can have
455. Sorry. I'm looking at the 455 Ultralux.
yeah.
Sorry. But I guess that's the
There,
that's the
if yeah, if you want to shoot iron sights, that was a really nice
yeah.
setup. Yeah,
Okay.
um, yeah, I remember those rifles quite well. Yeah, unfortunately, like yeah, they were not super readily available,
Yeah.
and he was like, if you people that knew those rifles, they knew exactly that's the rifle that they
Yeah.
wanted.
Yeah. That sounds like
So,
Hemi DX knew that rifle. Awesome. What else? Yeah, you're making me salivate for the 2025 season. It's going to be an abundance of platform choices to make potentially. But again, for us, new shooter, start with something 457. You're not going to outshoot that for a while, and if you outgrow it, you can just get a better barrel for it, put it into a chassis, and then better optics, and then keep moving from there.
yeah, and I've seen more shooters now, um, kind of go more like a European way of just getting a rifle once.
Yeah,
Whatever the price point is,
yeah.
whether
It's tough though, spending 4 grand because all in you're looking at 4 grand, right? So
yeah,
call it 2 grand for a decent, for no, not a decent, 2 grand for a good competitive configuration, up to 4.5 grand, plus another grand for scope. So you're looking between 3 and 5 for a mid to upper competitive platform, right? That'll basically take you as far as you're ever gonna go in the
yeah.
sport,
But
right?
but I've been seeing more shooters kind of skipping the basic stuff and get like
Yeah,
mid
yeah,
range,
like a
and
457 XRS.
XRS, and and
Yeah,
get like a scope that's $1,000, $1,500, whatever
yeah,
style of shooting, and that's the platform, and then they have it, and they just keep on shooting it, and
yeah,
I think it's great because like
yeah,
the skill that is most sorry, skill is the thing that's worth upgrading all the time,
yeah,
because you
yeah,
can't you can't take it away from someone. So it's good.
yeah,
And but the guys that like to kind of tinker and try out new equipment, there's always room for that. So yeah,
yes, there
yeah,
is.
I can see you smiling. you know
Yeah,
you know what we're talking
I,
about here.
I know
But
those guys.
yeah, but I mean, it's good to see. It's finally good to see good options in the sub $2,000
Yeah,
range
it's
for small bore rifles. That's complete
yeah,
gun that you can take it out of the box and you can take it to the range, right?
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like Tesro and shoots guns, great, but not sub $2,000,
No, no, no.
right? So
There's a place for everything, right?
yeah,
And there's a rifle for everyone. I think the hard part is that people have budget, especially nowadays. That times are tough for a lot of people, and I want you have to be honest with yourself as to what it is you're trying to accomplish going into the sport. Maybe you don't know, and that's okay. But if you're a serious competitor, you can save yourself $1,000 by just saving, using, borrow something until you have the money to buy the level that you're going to be great at for several years,
yeah,
like a 457 and an ACC, if you can just hold off and save the extra $500 it takes to get to that next level, then you'll be set for life, except maybe you need weights. Most of the bipods are going to work, you know. Um, I was using a Harris bipod for a long time just because I couldn't find my Skypod, and for the props that we were shooting off of, which is a rooftop, like a doghouse, and a barrel top. The Arca rail is the big one. If you have an Arca clamp on a bipod, that's the big upgrade. But once you get the legs out, you've got cant.
yeah.
So is there an advantage?
It's a
Maybe,
bit of a
but
price differential between Harris and Skypod.
especially I think
Look
mine
at
was
it.
even a knockoff. It was like a Harris knockoff. How cheap do you have to be to have a Harris
Yeah,
knockoff? But yeah, it's so it's you have to be honest. But the glass is one of those things where you also got to think of what are you going to get. Now, there's some great glass under $500-600 you can get. Under $700. There's some decent glass. How long is it going to last? What issues you can have? We don't know, but they will work, and they've worked
yeah,
for a lot of competitors that podium on a regular basis. But to each his own. But nice glass, good turrets, good quality, consistent. Elevation turns. One is one, or 1.01 is one.
yeah.
Those are the kind of things that you're going to think about. But yeah, we're gonna have a separate episode on getting started in both skill wise and gear wise. So that'll be probably the next one, because a lot of guys are already planning for next year. And yeah,
So
what
since
else you
you
got in the
so
new the
since you
new
you
stuff?
mentioned one of the sponsors, so Mark IVs are in finally.
Ah, nice. Which ones do you
Um,
have?
so we have actually a bunch, but we got the well, here, let me grab it.
A 3 to 18,
There, there's
five
there,
25.
there's number of, but this has been like the one that everybody's been asking for, the 6 to 24, um, the PR2 reticle.
Ah,
Um,
yes, the classic,
is it PR2?
classic
I always mix up PR2 and PR3, but
pair
yeah,
three.
that's the one, and um, is it PR2? Oh my God, I'm so blind. Um, but the I think Mark IV is going to become one of the go-to contenders in that kind of price range. I think they kind of nailed it for the rimfire.
100%,
Yeah,
100%. Couldn't agree with you more. I think
and
we
yeah, and I wish they delivered them to us when we really wanted to have them, which is at the beginning of the season or
I
preseason.
100% agree with you.
But yeah, Canada is not the largest market, so I guess they
No,
were trying to fill the
yeah,
U.S. market first, and
they're still, yeah, they're still making them. I mean, there's
yeah,
no inventory at Korth, right?
no, no,
There's nothing there. It's
that's why
going
we
out
have
as
it.
fast as it comes in.
Well, we basically when they released them, we placed
Yeah,
our order right away, because
right.
like we had quite a bit of experience with Mark Fives,
Yeah,
um, and yeah, and then like when we saw the specs, I'm like, and the price range, I'm like, this is
yeah,
this is
yeah.
exactly
So
what Liverpool needed
for
to
for
come up
those
with.
that don't for those that don't know, can you give us a can you give just a brief overview on the Mark IV versus Mark V differences?
So I think the biggest difference is that Mark V is really built to be a long range scope, center fire long range scope. So talking like 400 or 500 meters out.
Yeah,
And it's kind of optimized for that, which means that the parallax was not really super friendly for the shorter distances. And it works. A lot of guys are using. I mean, if you go in, there's quite a few guys that are using Mark Fives, but it wasn't really um, that friendly for the. You had to kind of work. You have to work with your ballistic app to make it work well.
yeah.
Um, and also um, the price point is about extra, you know, thousand
Thousand,
bucks to
twelve
fifteen
hundred
hundred
bucks.
bucks.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Mark V is like $4,000 scope,
yeah.
plus or minus a couple $100 depending on the reticle and the size.
Yep.
And Mark IV is more like mid 2000s, low
Yep.
2000s, depending
24,
on the
26.
yeah.
Yep.
So it's yeah. So I think the price point was the other big thing. Also, they kept the weight on the low end,
Yep.
as in, sorry, they kept the lightness of it, I should say,
Yep.
of the Mark V. That's kind of what made Mark V quite popular. So it's easy to add, and generally you want to add weight to the base of the rifle, not on the top of the rifle. So Yeah. So and yeah, you don't need to listen to me. I mean, you look at there's
Yeah.
lots of online reviews about Mark IVs.
Yep.
They're
And we had the chance to run it all summer. Well, whenever we got it just before end of June, I think.
yeah.
And we've been running the 4 to 18 version. And again, it compares favorably to the Mark V. You're not giving up any optical quality. The turrets feel the same locking mechanism. It just works, and it's a 34 mil tube, not a 35. So if you don't have any 35s in your
That's
safe,
yeah. Thanks for reminding. Yeah, I keep forgetting
you
about
can
that.
use
That's actually
34 mil
significant.
rings.
Yeah.
It is it's another piece that you don't have to worry about. But
Yeah.
again, it's loopholed glass, and it works. The parallax setting, it's so the challenge I had when I used it was, up close to, so 50 to 75, you'd have to dial that parallax in because it gets blurry. Now maybe I could back off the magnification and pick up some. Maybe I didn't try that, but yeah, it's again, Mark V has the same challenges. So, but again, the only thing you're giving up is $1,200 to $1,800. There's, for me, I couldn't see or feel any differences between the Mark IV and the Mark V. So I think it's going to be a huge seller for them. That's probably why there's none available right now,
Yeah. Yeah. And
from the distributor.
they do have an interesting feature in them, in lower magnification ones. So they have um, don't quote me of the what the brand name is, but they basically have a um, level built in.
Excuse me? Do they
Um,
really?
yes, but it's only
Huh.
available on like low power
Like
range.
like the
And I don't know if
LPVOs,
that,
like the
so basically they have it in their hunting scopes. And I remember when
huh.
I first saw it, I'm like, whoa, this is pretty cool. This is pretty neat. What the hell would I use it for? I was like, well, of course,
Yes.
because it will, as you rotate the scope, it will blink and it will stop blinking,
There it
to
is.
indicate that you're level. Um,
Reticle level will flash when the scope isn't level. And why do they only put it on the 2.5 to 10?
I couldn't get the straight answer. I think I don't know if it's a technical challenge or if there's just a cost, because that system does cost money. So maybe they kind of left it for, okay,
Yeah.
we'll put it in a lower magnification ones, and we're going to work on, maybe that's going to be 2026 model of
Yeah.
it, right?
Give
Because
me
they
an option.
already have so
Yeah.
many SKUs. Like they have, because
Yeah.
there's 3 or 4 different reticles. There's a couple of different magnification changes, and half of the
Yeah.
reticle come both in the mills and MOAs. So there's so
Yeah.
many variants of the scope already. And like for us retailers, like, okay, well, which one do we pick,
Yeah.
to stock and have and kind of have on hand? So I think they maybe didn't want
Yeah.
to go too crazy with it, but
The the new PR3 reticle is not bad. I think that's the one we've been using, is the PR3. So it's interesting.
yeah. So
Take a look, guys. But definitely worth looking at if you're looking for a scope in the mid 2000 range. So the Apex Rival, the Athlon Cronus, certainly the Mark IV now is in the loophole optic is now in the game of the sub 2 to 3K high. I mean, we call it high end because for our shooters, you don't need more than a two. There's a winner in the $2,500 scope market somewhere in there. You can spend more, but that's because you want to, not because you have to. There's something perfectly suitable and noteworthy in that price point. Again, above that, you've got the Mark V, and then you've got the Razer Gen 3s and all of the other fancy optics that come in that I have no experience with, like the Zero Compromise or um, all those other higher end ones that I don't have in our fleet. So Night Force certainly is another one. So yes, interesting.
and I don't
Never
know.
been a better time to buy
Well,
stuff.
and speaking of Apex, Rival X or Rival 10, if you know how to read Roman numerals, was released since the last time we were on the podcast. So we got
Yeah,
some of those in, and they
nice.
were that was kind of I guess just the 10
Yeah,
version versus the 15.
Yeah.
So it's same as Rival, but just the 10 versus 15 on the Revolution. So yeah, that's that was
Is
just.
it the same? Is it the same amount of travel in the elevation?
I'll have to look at the specs, but I think it's just how much elevation per revolution.
Okay, yeah, I know
Yeah,
that. So it's 10 versus 15, I think.
yeah. It
The
could
old one was 50.
maybe a little bit. It could be a little bit different. Actually, that's a good point. I haven't spec'd it out, but
Mil.
my impression was always they changed it because 15 is kind of the
32
oddball out
mil.
there. So a lot
Yeah,
of people are
32 mil
always switching.
internal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just check. 32 mil. Yeah, so it's both are 32 mil. Is based on the data on Tesro.ca website.
Which is the Bible. Oh,
The Bible.
speaking of it, we have or we, as in I, because I actually went through I put in the MSRP list for CZ.
Oh,
Um,
yes,
yeah,
you did. Thank you.
yeah, we talked about this in the spring and we posted, but um, if I can get reliable data, I'll add it for, obviously I did it for CZ because that's what we deal with, but I
Yeah,
don't mind if I can get reliable data, I can add it for the other brands as well.
yeah.
Um, and even if
Just
you
just what
want.
you sell, Asmir. Just what you sell.
Just for us. Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Fair enough. I mean, it's because just so that there is a, because a lot of guys are like, oh, what is it for the productions? Like, well,
Yeah.
let's set these, and there's some of them that are not listed at the CZ USA
Yeah.
website. So I
You
did the
got to do a little
calculation
digging.
to get,
Yeah.
and I know there was a little bit of discussion about the um, left-handed, and I think it's worth going back to the lefties. I think it's worth discussing that although left-handed cost more for the same model, we reduced the MSRP to
Which
match
makes
the
sense.
right-handed
Yeah.
because we believe, as far as the spirit of the rules, the left-handed shooters, because they're paying more and it costs more, they're not getting advantage. Like
Correct.
if you're getting left-handed varmint versus the right-handed varmint, just because it costs more, we set the MSRP
Yeah.
up to the same level,
And
and
that's fair and reasonable.
yeah, fair and reasonable,
Yeah.
and I think it's in the spirit of what the MSRP,
Yeah. Yeah.
the production kind of means.
And,
So
and thank you for doing that, because I know that's gathering that kind of data is not easy, and it's appreciated. It's helped a lot of people out. So thank you for doing that.
yeah, and we'll add it when I have time, which we never have time, but I'll add it for the scopes as well,
Okay.
because yeah, because it's also becomes that's the combo, right? That you.
Yeah, I guess the other thing, if you want to start with something first, is scopes that you'd recommend that would fit that bracket in between. Uh, here's a 457 MTR varmint. So the buffer between that and $1,600 is one of these four scopes that you
Yeah,
happen to carry, right?
yeah.
I think that would be useful, because otherwise, people are going to buy whatever, and they don't have a recommendation. Again, these would be, I think there's going to be a few Citron or a few. What are the other ones? Deltas, maybe. I don't know if you've got a Delta in that price point that
No,
would
there's
fit
no
in.
Delta.
There's
Delta
no
is
Delta
like,
in it.
yeah, Delta is you get it's kind of striker is
Okay. Oh,
the
that's more expensive than the Varmin MTR.
yes it is. Yes it
So
is.
that's out.
And yeah,
Definitely not a
strike.
production option.
So Delta has less expensive scopes, but
Yeah.
they're not competition scope. They're more like
Okay, I got you.
scopes. Yeah,
Yeah. I
but
wonder if
Athlon
Citron.
has
Oh
some,
yeah,
and
several.
actually that's pretty much the reason why we brought Athlon. We've been sending people to buy Athlon because we didn't have
Yeah.
anything in kind of that price range. I'm like, well, why don't we just bring some in, because they can we can mount them on the rifle for them and go sight it
Yeah.
in. So
Now,
and
when are you going to add Athlon to your? You're just waiting.
it's on the website. It's up.
You have four now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the Harris. Okay. Helos. Okay.
We kind of focus on the ones that we like. So
Yeah.
we're gonna
Makes sense.
because and this was kind of these scopes kind of fill in the gap for the
Yep.
price range that
Yep.
we didn't really have
Yep.
when it kind of gets more expensive. Like nothing wrong with it with the higher end Athlon scopes, but we already
Yep.
have Apex, we have
Yeah.
Leupold, we have
No, for sure.
Strikers,
Yep.
and we have Citron. It was just like, okay, we don't need to have
Yep.
all of them.
And for years, the Midas Tech was my competition. Even before they were a sponsor, it was just a solid optic at $1,000. It was a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
The Argos is another option that fit below the Helos, I believe. I think it's Neos, Talos, Argos, Helos.
I need to brush up on my Greek mythology
Yeah.
so I can actually differentiate them. I always get confused. Um, and then I ask JP, and then he's just as confused as me. So we look up the
Yeah.
specs every time. But
Yeah.
I like the names. But yeah. So yeah. So yeah. So we will try to. But that's a good idea. We'll try to kind of put together as like, well, this if we were putting
Yeah.
production rifles, and if I could
Yeah.
buy the Tesro, this is what I would do.
Exactly. 'Cause I think people need that help. I mean, people ask me, what do you know? And I have my options, but if you sell them and you
Yeah.
know that they're decent, you should recommend them, right?
Yeah, actually, maybe we should do a production build.
There you go. Yep.
Well,
'Cause we
technically,
had
not allowed to call it build because it's not a production anymore.
well, we had put a production package together. Is what
Yeah.
we did. We auctioned one off, and actually, I met Matt Miller out of BC, that won that build, and he's still shooting it very well. So it was good to see the build in actual use out there. So yeah, that's good. Hey, buddy, we're at 2 hours already. Time flies, eh? We could go for hours
Yeah, I didn't even. We're only halfway through my list, so we'll have to have another podcast.
for sure. Well, what are you doing next week?
Yeah.
We can get you on. I mean, so some of the topics so we've got a ton of stuff. Obviously, it's more than one episode, but I think we broke the back of kind of the wrap up the new events. Certainly, the Rimfire Precision Paper, King of 2 miles, going across Canada, not just for the Saskatoon and Saskatchewan shooters. It's going to be for all Canadians. Which again, Canadian Rimfire Precision Series. That's what we try and bring that out to everybody, and sort of that new team event that we're going to test drive in the next month to see what kind of. I mean, I'm going to put a forum post on there and see what people's reactions are. But definitely, we're gonna just have at least one fun match, and if it seems to interest people, we can do pairs and quads. Who knows? We'll start with quads.
I'll come out if there's pairs events, and if it's kind of like done like a hunting match.
Yeah.
Type of like the Hunter series,
Yeah.
where you can have somebody kind of coaching. I think that will make the barrier of entry for lazy shooters like me.
Yeah. Well, we could do it that way. We could do a square range hunter match where this the distances aren't declared.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody know. You won't know until you shoot it. You'll know what they are. But you'll walk up to the stage and say,
No. What I meant, even if you do like a PR,
like a regular PR
style, but if you allow coaching,
spotters. Oh yeah.
And then I think somebody that's less experienced,
Yeah.
paired with somebody that's more experienced, they can do much better as a somebody that's just pulling the trigger, but getting coached on the line, with scope adjustments, and that somebody looking through the scope and calling the shot.
Sure.
And like you said, it brings that that spice that's missing in the marriage, right? The communication part. So,
and I've seen marriages fail at a hunter match.
So yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, I mean, I maybe that's just my opinion. But I would love to see how that works out, because I think that team dynamic is interesting.
Yeah,
and like you said, it can go either way.
Yeah, it can go either way. But I think for having some coaching is better than no coaching for new shooters, certainly. But yeah, we'll bring it out. We'll see what we discover. We're willing to experiment on you, the public.
Yeah.
So awesome. Hey, Asmir, thanks so much for all the support. It's been you've been there from literally the very beginning, even before the beginning. I remember remember sitting in that very spot talking to you
Yep.
about it.
Yep.
Crazy idea. What if? Would you be interested? And here we are, like literally years later. You know, talking about all those people now across Canada that are doing the thing we were talking about. That it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. It's fun. So
You
yeah.
you know, this has been, I think, the longest that you and I have talked that we didn't really talk about ammo. I
That's
think
true.
it's a
We
somewhat
did,
of
we
an
didn't
accomplishment.
we didn't mention at all. Like first thing is, what do you got? How much do you have left? That's true.
Which is I mean, yes, we did mention Ely a little bit, but it's the first time we didn't actually
Talk about
talk about ammo.
availability.
But we can
I know.
we can one of the upcoming weeks we can give an update on the ammo situation and stuff.
For
So
sure. Well, do you have ammo? Do you have
we
most
have
of the?
ammo. I think
Oh, good. Okay.
that's we haven't been able to say this for a very long time. We
Yeah.
have um, almost all the SKUs. The only thing that we actually even have some Ely match.
Oh,
We we
nice.
fo- we found some on the shelf. So
Okay.
we have like um, it's been a long time since we had this much variety of
Yeah.
ammo in
Nice.
stock.
That's good.
Um, and
Hopefully,
it's
it
yeah,
keeps going.
it's great because
Yeah.
it's milk and eggs, right? If there's
Yeah.
no ammo, then it just makes the whole shooting experience more
Yeah.
awkward if you have to
Yeah.
overpay and or you can't get the ammo
Yeah.
that you really want or in the price bracket that you're comfortable
Right.
with. So it's good to have
Yeah.
ammo available.
Do you have Elite team at all, or just
Yeah,
match?
we do have
Okay.
Elite Team.
Perfect. I need to talk to you after because I'm working on a special Ely event that we're trying to do. We're trying to do. Stay tuned, everybody. We're courtesy of Ely. We're going to try and get you guys to come out and shoot Ely ammo for free. That always gets
Can
everybody
I come?
excited. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're bringing the ammo, Asmir.
um,
So, yeah, perfect, good. So again, we don't know what the supply's like, but right now it looks decent. It's funny to be sitting at the end of the season with lots of ammo and on your shelves there. So that's good. So, but if people are concerned, they should buy it while they can, right? It's always the rule of thumb is buy at least a season's worth if you've got the money. Especially good with lots because lots do matter. We'll
yeah,
talk about ammo another time.
we'll
But
talk.
yeah,
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
That's good
yeah.
news. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad to hear that because it's kind of like the lifeblood of our sport. No ammo, no bang on the firing line, no ding on the target line.
yeah. I mean,
So
it's so and it's good to have options, right? Because that
yeah,
it was tough. Like last 2 years, there were few options, and yeah, and people kind of had to buy what they
whatever.
could what
Yeah,
they could
yeah,
buy, or settle for
yeah, yeah, yeah,
suboptimal or not their first or second choice. So it's good.
yeah. That's good. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Asmir, for creating the opportunity for me to be here and for people out there to be shooting. Again, if you hadn't said yes, I wonder how far we would have gotten. Who knows? It's going to be one of those sliding door scenarios.
You still would have been an IPSC shooter maybe.
Yeah, I would have been an IPSC shooter. I've been doing multi gun. Yeah,
And
true.
it would be buying like shiny,
Shiny
shiny
guns
things to put on your Shadow too, and yeah,
and Solomon Speed Cross
yeah, yeah,
Go Fast shoes. It's true. Well,
yeah.
thanks, Asmir. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me. Always a
Hey, no
pleasure.
problem. Yeah, see you all on the firing line somewhere out there, and stay tuned for next week's episodes. If Asmir is free, we'll have him back. We'll talk part two on his list that we haven't talked about, and maybe talk about getting into shooting, getting better at it, and talk about starting out with gear selection, ammo selection, stuff like that. The basics. These are the questions I've heard as I taught Maple Seed throughout the summer and then the Rimfire Competition Academy. Um, so again, thanks everybody. Have a good evening, and again, we'll see you on the firing line. Have a good night.